Hello, I am author and minister Cynthia Middlebrooks Harris, and this is Tosat Tuesday. I wanted to make a broadcast. Haven't made one in a while. Been really busy with New Year's Eve services and getting back home and getting back in line, dealing with some issues and some medical issues with some family members. And so we've been off the loop for a while. But I wanted to get back at this with Tosat Tuesdays and take a minute to make a broadcast today. It might be a little bit more lengthy broadcast than normal because God was really ministering to me. You know, this is the time that everyone makes New Year's resolutions. I'm going to start losing weight. I'm going to do this, going to do that. But most Christians will say, this year I'm going to read the Bible through in a year. And they get all these wonderful Bible apps to help them read the Bible through for a year. But I didn't make that resolution for reading the Bible through for a year. It's not really that I would call it a resolution more than it is this is my desire. And there's so many things on Facebook and social media and Twitter where we see memes and there's little sayings on them and people laugh at the meme because it fits the situation. Or there's the Kermit the Frog sipping the tea and people, they say, hey, I'm just going to sip my tea on that. And then we have people that put these really serious, deep passages that are this seem like really great words to live by. You get a lot of amens on those, and wow, that's a wonderful way to think. And I thought, you know what, we get so excited about the memes and the posts that people make and the quotes that people quote. And I said, you know what, as a Christian this year, I am going to study the red. I'm going to study everything written in red. I want to know what Jesus says about things in my life that I'm supposed to do. It doesn't really so much matter to me what social media thinks or what the great pastor in this great church think because they have 1 million followers. It does make a difference what this theologian think in the book that they put out in their revelation. I said this year I am going to study the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to look at all the words in red. I'm going to look at the scenarios surrounding the words in red. And I want to know what God thinks about a situation, and I want to get a revelation on how we are as Christians and God. And I started out with the book of Matthew. I probably should have started with the book of John, but I got to chapter 14 and I just kind of skipped around on some different things in red. And there's not a whole lot of red in the in the book of 14, but I got stuck on the scenario of what's going on here and a really good biblical principle applied to this. And this is chapter 14 is really dealing with Jesus is he's talking about John the Baptist, and then the multitude is there. He just got through talking to the multitude, and he is feeding them with the fish and the loaves of bread. And he fed 5,000 plus men and women. And so then this is where it gets interesting. He sent the disciples in a ship to the other side of the lake, the river, whatever you want to call it. And he sent the multitude away, and then he went up into a mountain to pray. And then when the evening would come, it says, when the evening had come, let's start at verse 22. And straightway Jesus constrained, I'm going to look away now because I have to read. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. Now, of course, we know that it said he would have passed by them. One said he was walking and he would have passed by them. I'm not sure if it's this version or not, but there's one version of the gospel that says that he would have went right on by them walking, but they saw him. But the thing that I want to bring to mind is 2 points here. First of all, they thought that he was a ghost and they were afraid, and they said, oh, wow, it is a ghost, or whatever what one version says. And he says, be of good cheer, it is me. And it says straightway, because they were troubled in their spirits when they saw him walking on the sea. Now, first of all, that throws one thing at me, and that's how we view Jesus Christ. We sometimes make the mistake of thinking it is the same way that the Hebrews and the Israelites were when Jesus first came from the Virgin Mary. He did not come in the form that they wanted him to come in, so they didn't really recognize that he was there. Only very few people knew that Jesus was the Messiah up until a certain age. So when Jesus does not come the way you think he ought to come, we will view it as being and this is not real. But see, it wasn't rational for man to walk on water. It wasn't rational for men to be able to do that. So when Jesus came to them walking on the water, they had just spent the whole day with Jesus Christ listening to him while he was feeding the multitude, and they saw the miracle. And now when he's walking to them on the water, they didn't recognize him. Just hours later, they did not recognize him. So how is it that we can be in a situation, we can see Jesus Christ, he can perform a miracle in our life, and a few hours later, we don't recognize him in a different situation? Well, it's because when something comes against what we can rationalize in our mind and in our finite way of thinking, we discarded that it cannot be God. Because now he comes walking on the water, and the Bible says he would have walked by them. We'll come back to that in a second. He comes walking on the water. So now this defies their rational way of thinking of what a person should be able to do. So now they discard this as being Jesus Christ, and they want to think that it is something else, so they are afraid. So in our life, how many times do we discard Jesus Christ because he doesn't come in our rational and finite way of thinking? So we discarded that it could be God, and we don't even recognize him in a situation when a few hours or a few days before that, he just blessed us tremendously. How many times do we do that in our Christian walk? And the next time is, it says, the next point I want to bring out is really quick is, it says he would have walked right by them. And on one gospel, it's not, I don't think it's in Matthew, but on one version says he would have walked by them and kept going, And so my thing is, Jesus sent them away. You got to start thinking about the time structure here now. The Bible says it's getting ready to be dark, but no man can work when it's dark. So Israelites know that you need to be where you're going before the sun goes down, because their day ends when the sun goes down and the next day begins. So when the sun goes down, no one's supposed to be out doing anything. So that's why Jesus sent them away, and then sent the multitude away in long enough time for the sun to go down. So somewhere along the way, somebody wasn't obedient for them to be on the ship in the midst of the sea on the fourth watch, still toiling in that boat when Jesus comes out there. The fourth watch of the night, that's like 3 o'clock. That's like from midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning. So from 6 p.m. to midnight, where were they at? Where were they? So somebody did not leave exactly when Jesus told them to leave. Now, I don't know how long it takes to get across the sea. It may actually take 6 hours to row across the sea or whatever. But Jesus said, get to the other side, and which means that if he's going to walk across the water to get to the other side, that means it really wasn't that long of a distance or that great of a distance if he's going to walk there on the water to get to the other side. So obviously they did not leave, first of all, when Jesus Christ told them to. And they got caught up in the midst of the storm. So when you don't leave or do something when God tells you to, sometimes you get caught up in the storm when you weren't supposed to be there. So Jesus was walking by them, meaning he saw them there. He's walking to the destination where they should have been. So he was going to pass them by because they weren't supposed to be there. So this is my own little revelation. It could be totally wrong. I could be totally off. But I thought right there, position is, pastors always talk about position. Saints of God, position is everything. We have got to make sure that when Jesus Christ tells us to leave, that we leave. We have to leave right then. And I remember when God was telling me to shut my shop down. I was a cosmetologist, and I had a beauty salon titled Heavenly Creations Hair and Nail Studio, and God told me to shut my salon down. And at the time God told me to shut it down and go full-time ministry, guys, I was making about $1,000 a week doing hair and nails. And so I'm thinking, okay, this cannot be God talking. I couldn't recognize God walking on the water, you guys. I couldn't see him. He was walking on the water, so I didn't recognize him. So I'm in my rational way of thinking, that wasn't God, because there's no way God's going to tell me. He gave me the vision. He gave me the colors for the shop. He gave me the theme for the shop, the model for the shop, everything. Now he's going to sit here and tell me to shut it down when it's on its high peak and doing its best. This is Jesus walking on the water. I don't even recognize this person coming toward me. And so I know this is to be true. And so I did not shut it down for years to come. Didn't shut it down. And now, few years later, my mom gets in a bad accident and I have to go get her. So now because of her situation, I have to shut my shop down and take care of my mom. And see, and before that, it was getting to the point to where one by one, I started losing clients. I went from having 60, 70, 80 clients a week to having about 15 clients a week, y'all. And I'm thinking, my God, what is going on? Am I just not that good of a stylist anymore? Nothing's changed. I am now out of the will of God. His total complete blessings is not on what I'm doing. Now, he was still sustaining my bills with those 15 or 20 clients that I had, but I was not flourishing the way that I was. I mean, I wasn't on top of everything. I was working just to pay bills at that moment. I wasn't working to put away, to save, to be able to be a blessing to anyone. None of that, because I had got myself out of the will of God, because I didn't recognize Jesus Christ when he came walking on the water. I just stayed in my little boat, toiling and screaming and saying, yeah, I'm in the midst of this storm. I was where I was not supposed to be. And so my mom comes and I have to shut the shop down to go home. And then all of a sudden I get to this place of abundance again. And I said, but God, I'm not working. God said, but when you trust me and step out on faith when I tell you to do something, you have to trust that I'm also going to provide for you and meet every need that you have. And see, I wasn't willing to give up my Isaac. And see, because it wasn't rational to me to give up my Isaac. Because see, when you don't let Isaac go, you can't have the sand and the seas and the stars and have your stuff numbered as the sand, seas, and stars when you're not willing to give up your Isaac. So when Jesus comes walking on the water to you, what is it in your life that you're doing that you can't recognize that that's him? You know, I didn't want, to me, Jesus Christ telling me to shut my shop down after he just blessed me years earlier with it and it's flourishing and it's blooming, that was not rational to me to shut down. I'm like, God, you must be crazy. As a matter of fact, I expanded the shop, brought in more stylists, did other things, and then I ended up having to reduce the shop back down, still not listening to God, reduced down to a smaller salon so I can handle it better and control the payments better. And God is still saying, shut down and go full-time ministry. Shut down and go full-time ministries. Now, I'm not saying that my mom had an accident because I was disobedient. I'm not saying that's how God works. But I'm thinking, man, God, it's amazing that my mom would get into an accident and then her tumor would begin to just aggressively grow. And she passed away last year. I was able to take care of her until she passed away. And it was an awesome time. That's a year that I would never give away for anything. I have no problem shutting down, taking care of her. I would do it again, all over again. I love my mom. It's a blessing. I know why she did not survive the tumor. I mean, I'm at peace with God about that. But that's not the moral of the story. And I'm not saying that God allowed her to be in an accident because I was disobedient. But you never know, because sometimes your disobedience will cause a calamity in someone else's life. You better ask David with the Ark of the Covenant when Uzzah touched it and died, because David did not read the instructions on how to handle the Ark of the Covenant. He didn't go back to the protocol, so someone died because of his disobedience. You know, so we have to be careful when it comes to the things of God and what God tells you to do. If you know God is telling you to do something, you might need to walk out on faith and begin to do what God told you to do. You need to implement that faith walk and stop trying to rationalize Jesus Christ in your finite way of thinking, because he is not going to come in your finite way of thinking. He's going to come in the volume of the book, because he says, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me. So when you can't rationalize something and it doesn't make sense to you, don't be so quick to discount that and say, that's not God, that's not Jesus Christ, because it just may be Jesus walking on the water towards you, looking for you, because you're not where you're supposed to be, first of all, and you didn't leave when he told you to leave, so you got caught up in the midst of the storm that you were supposed to be ahead of. See, the storm was supposed to be chasing them. They weren't supposed to be in the middle of the storm. See, some storms are designed to chase you and dissipate before they can catch you, if you'll be obedient and walk where God tells you to walk. But when you don't leave where God tells you to leave, sometimes the very thing that was supposed to be none of effect in your life will control your life for ages and years to come. So I know I'm pouring a whole lot into this broadcast, but I wanted to get a lot in and try and keep it under 15 minutes. But God bless you guys. We're going to start begin at Toast Out Ministries to put more stuff out there, get more broadcasts going, because people are saying they want to hear from us more. So God bless you guys, the listeners and the faithful followers that are watching and waiting for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for pushing us to do more, to grow more, to do what God's telling us to do. If you have not ordered the book Opportunity for Temptation, it is on Amazon and Create Space, and also our webpage www.tosotministries.org. Please support us. Get the books. It's a Christian romance novel like you've never read before. The Other Side of Through series is almost complete. I have to go back down and add a couple more books to it, so there will be more books to that series. Those of you that love the Toast Out series, The Other Side of Through, is available on Amazon and Create Space. It is The Other Side of Through by Minister Cynthia Brooks Harris. It's on ebook and Kindle as well. You'll be blessed. It's not your regular romance, guys. So let me warn you, if you're wanting soft porn, you're not going to get it in this book. Amen. It's about real romance from God. It's about God wooing us to him. It is also about God telling us between relationships as Christians how we should romance our mates. You know, what we should do. You know, do we have problems in our life? There's a lot of crazy reality things that happen to the characters chapters in this book, but God is showing us in this book, in the midst of this book, God is showing us in this series just how he's there with us. You know, he's been there all along. He's always going to be there. If we'll just call on him, he's there to answer all of our problems. He's there to put an easy yoke upon our back and take our burden upon his back, because he says, look, give me your burden. You can't handle your burden, but I can. And let me give you my yoke, because it's easy. My burden is light. So the series is all about God being there in the midst of your situation and getting you to the other side of through. So God bless you guys. I know I've said a gallon, I poured a gallon on a pint here, but God bless you for being a part of Toast Ministries. Thank you for supporting us. We will be back next week for another Toast Tuesday. We love you guys. Check us out on the web. Check us out. We have blogs. The information will be posted in the comment section below about how you can comment and contact us. If you want us to come to your church to speak at your conference, my husband and I, that information will be posted as well, to go to our website to send a request in for that. God bless you guys. We love you. Thank you so much for supporting. Bye.